I'll take that as a yes.
Gimme! Go back inside!
I love my bar!
What's your name?
Tater.
What's that?
Tater.
When it comes to Yellowstone characters, Jimmy and Teeter's journeys have been some of the most satisfying to watch. I don't know about you guys, but personally, I've been rooting for both of them since the beginning, and seeing how far they've come has been incredible. The good news is, now, with the 4/6's spin-off on the horizon, their storylines are about to take center stage in a way that will completely redefine the Yellowstone universe. So, let's talk about it. When I was working on this video, I reflected a lot on where Jimmy started, and it made me realize just how much he's grown. I bet all of us remember how much of a total mess he was when he first showed up at the Yellowstone Ranch. He was this clueless, directionless guy who was barely hanging on. He had no experience, no confidence, and no real sense of who he was. But I think we can all agree that over the course of the series, he transformed into a skilled cowboy, and more importantly, someone who truly understands the value of hard work and loyalty. That transformation didn't happen overnight, though, and it definitely wasn't easy. But watching him stumble and get back up over and over again made me feel like I was rooting for a real person, not just a character on a screen. Did you also relate with Jimmy throughout Yellowstone? Do you think he improved as a character over the years? Whether you like him or not, one thing is clear. Jimmy is stepping into a leadership role at the 4/6's. And yes, that's huge. We all know that the 4/6's isn't just any ranch. It's one of the most legendary and respected ranches in the entire country. So, as you can imagine, the pressure that comes with working there is intense, and Jimmy's going to have to prove himself all over again. Sure, he's come a long way, but this is a whole different level. The stakes are higher, the cowboys are tougher, and the expectations are through the roof. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments, but to me, if anyone's ready for it, it's Jimmy. Because as I said, he's not the same lost kid who showed up at the Dutton Ranch. He's got grit now, and that's exactly what it'll take to survive at the 4/6's. At least in my humble opinion, because we cannot ignore the fact that Jimmy's relationship with Emily is another huge part of his growth. The fact that he's managed to find love amidst all the chaos and uncertainty speaks volumes about how much he's matured. Not gonna lie, I hated how torn he was between Mia and Emily, and both women suffered because of this. But thankfully, this storyline did not drag for so long, and choosing Emily showed that Jimmy finally knew what he wanted and was brave enough to go after it. That kind of clarity and commitment is exactly what he'll need to make it at the 4/6's. Of course, it still won't be easy, but even if Jimmy fails, I believe Emily will always be there to lift him up again. Now, I know we all love Jimmy, but let's admit it. The main reason why most of us excited for the upcoming 4/6's show is the fact that Teeter will also be there. First of all, Teeter's journey has been just as powerful. I've always loved how tough and unapologetic she is. That mix of grit and heart makes her one of the most interesting characters in the series, at least in my opinion. Despite her strength as a character, though, I have to admit that after losing Colby, I wasn't sure where her story was headed, but the fact that she's following Jimmy to the 4/6's proves that she's ready for a new beginning. What's exciting about Teeter's role at the 4/6's is that she's going to bring a whole different energy to the ranch because, as we all know, she's not your typical cowboy. She's rough around the edges, unpredictable, and fiercely independent. But that's what makes her so valuable to many of us. She's going to shake things up in Texas, and honestly, I'm here for it. Teeter's bond with Jimmy is also going to be a major factor in how they both adjust to life at the 4/6's. They've always had this sibling-like connection. Throughout the years, we saw them supporting each other through the hard stuff, calling each other out when needed, and keeping each other grounded. And based on what we know so far about the new show, it is clear that this dynamic is going to be so important as they face new challenges in Texas. But it's not going to be all smooth sailing. The 4/6's is a serious operation with a reputation to protect. The cowboys there aren't going to roll out the welcome mat just because Jimmy and Teeter have Yellowstone on their resumes. They're going to have to earn their place, and that means long days, tough lessons, and probably a few hard knocks along the way. Jimmy and Teeter have already been through so much, but this is going to be next level tough. To me, what makes this whole shift so exciting is that it represents a new chapter for the Yellowstone franchise. Taylor Sheridan, who owns the ranch in real life, clearly understands the weight and significance of this place. That's going to give the show a level of authenticity and depth that's hard to fake. Yellowstone has always been about preserving the cowboy way of life, And now 4/6 is going to explore what that looks like on a larger scale. 4/6's show is expected to be out on November 2025, and I'm more than excited for it. For more weekly updates on 4/6 and other Yellowstone shows, make sure to like and follow. Meanwhile, the video on the screen might also interest you.